In this video, we're going to be looking at a general concept that applies to world history, and that's the concept of tribalism and the other. As we think about ways of looking for connections between often disparate world civilizations, one of the things that we can look at is ways that society structured these connections, these influences, ways that they understood the arrival of new ideas and new people and new ways of doing things. So historians tend to refer to one of these ways of structuring the arrival of new ideas as tribalism and the other. One of the key characteristics of any civilization is a degree of social organization. And the most common organization pattern in the ancient world, or in ancient civilizations, was based on the family. It started with a nuclear family, parents and their offspring, so parents and children, and then groups of nuclear families that were related to each other were called extended families. Extended families who shared a common ancestor or who were related to each other were organized into clans, and clans, which originated from a common ancestor, were organized into tribes. So what you can see, first of all, is that the earliest form of organization was based on family relationships. And this makes sense because these family relations, these family connections, were in many cases essential to the survival of the group. So they started with these basic parental relationships and then moved up to familial relationships called tribes. And tribalism is, by definition, just a sense of loyalty and commitment to one's own tribe. So this became essential to the survival of the tribe. It goes back to the concept of safety in numbers, where everyone contributes and everyone receives. So everyone's work is necessary, and everyone contributes in some way, shape, or form to the survival of the group. And having these familial connections, having these family-based connections, having this tribe, allowed for the protection of the most vulnerable members of the group. So imagine, if you will, a group like orphans, people who lost their parents. They could be protected by the tribe, in large part because those tribes were connected by family relationships. If a family needed extra help or extra production for survival, the tribe could kick in there as well. They also protected each other in the event that outsiders invaded or in the event of other kinds of conflict. So tribal protections were an important part of the survival of the earliest civilizations. But there's a downside to this kind of tribalism, to this loyalty and connection to one's own tribe, and that's the exclusion of outsiders. So on one hand, it kind of makes sense, this idea that you have to be loyal to your own tribe because you are responsible, everyone is responsible for everyone else's survival in this tribe as much as possible. And so there's not a lot of room for the protection of outsiders. So you have this concept of the outsider as the other. And from the earliest civilizations on, this idea of the tribe and the other, us and them, has structured human societies. You can see it in present-day relations as well. I mean, think about all the social categories that exist in the modern world. You've got things like gender, age, class, race, ethnicity, citizenship status, sexuality. The list goes on and on. And these are ways of dividing society into us and them. And historically, that has its roots in the survival of the earliest tribe. So one of the things that ancient and modern societies, and nearly all human societies in between, have in common is the existence of these social divisions. These clear lines between we and they, and us and them, and most often attached to this division of the world into what historians call the one other split, is this concept or this hierarchy, this power structure that goes along, in which we are superior to they. And this in turn, so it creates a hierarchy. It often leads to stereotyping. It leads to a mistrust of difference. And all of these sort of positive and negative attributes of tribalism and the other structure various cultural norms, social groupings, social traditions, and they've had profound consequences throughout the history of human societies. We see it in war, we see it in religious strife, we see it in racism, we see it in imperialism, we see it in nativism and anti-immigrant sentiment. We see it over and over again. So it's important that you understand what we mean when we say one other split, or the concept of the other in human history, because we will come back to it again and again as we chart the interactions of various civilizations, of various cultures, of various societies, as we move through the course of world history. Global connections that are at the core of world history have never been easy or straightforward, but they have profoundly shaped the way that the world has developed, and therefore have profoundly shaped the world in which we live. Thank you.